The Hake Report is coming up next, everybody. Right now, it is 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles. Thursday, July 11th, AD 2024. And we're having a fun show, guys. Gonna have a fun show, I hope. I have plenty to talk about. And your calls, if you'd like to call in, 1-888-775-3773. That was wild news that JLP gave on the JLP show about Huma Abedin. Mildly attractive Pakistani, Indian former Hillary Clinton aide. Or is she still a Hillary Clinton aide? She's engaged to Alex Soros. Alex Soros, I became familiar with him, son of George Soros, a little younger than me, about 5 years my junior, a little bit less, 4 years maybe. He's 38 years old. She's 48, more than 10 years older than him. She was born in July, like Hake. Huma Abedin, wife of Anthony Weiner. What a mess. As a 12-year-old kid, was separated and then divorced from Anthony Weiner, got like PTSD or some type of anxiety, you know, from all the embarrassment, I guess, of Anthony Weiner getting all into the S word. It's terrible. Liberals, you know, liberals. She was dating Bradley Cooper, by the way, at least according to the tabloid evil news reports, right? Okay. What else will we talk about? George Clooney, another phony Obama lover. Fake love, of course. Our greatest president, real Donald Trump, on Truth Social, posting truths about George Clooney, who never came close to making a great movie. Now he's saying, oh, Biden should step down. And I guess, of course, Biden should step down if he cared about the country. But the Democrats don't care about the country. Not Biden, not Obama, not George Clooney, I don't think. Is George Clooney just deluded? Some actor, lame-o. He was terrible as Batman, by the way. What else? Oh, daughter of Jennifer Garner is all making an impassioned plea for public face masks. And she's saying, don't give in to any mask bans. Don't give in to any mask bans. She's in L.A., Jennifer Garner's daughter. I don't know why they don't call her Ben Affleck's daughter. And why is Jennifer Garner not called Jennifer Affleck? Well, I don't know. They divorced. I don't know. What a mess. Terrible. 18-year-old daughter, Violet. She got like long COVID or something like that. I'm shaking my head. These evil mama meddlers are pushing their mess, their mama spirit mess onto society. But that's how the world works. I was listening to, briefly, I'll tell you, I was listening to a Legends and Lies little segment. I think Bill O'Reilly put that out, but Fox News is putting it out, but not naming Bill O'Reilly maybe. It's about history and the American Revolution and all of these founding father type people's founders. And they were a mess. Wow. Shooting each other, hating each other, lying to each other, insubordinating each other, pulling shenanigans. John Adams, whatever that guy's name is, Hamilton. Burr, the guy who shot Hamilton, I think. And Thomas Jefferson. It was a mess. It was a mess, even back then. Hake judging the founding fathers. Indeed. And were they commies? Anyway. What else? There might be something else that I wanted to cover around here. Oh, yeah. I saw some wild headlines. Foreigners are skimming our ATMs here in SoCal. About 6 of them were caught in a ATM skimming. That means stealing. Something like that. Stealing from the people. Minimum wage is going up, and so their fast food joints are cutting hours. Minimum wage is $20 an hour here L.A. or Southern California or something. And so the fast food joints, that's jargon for restaurants. They're cutting their hours. Duh. So, and rightly so, they have to survive, right? Dumb stuff going on in the world. So anyway, we'll see. Hopefully all that and your calls, guys, if you'd like to call in. 1-888-775-3773. We welcome your calls, even from the ladies, even from the unladylike. And your super chats, guys. I did see them. I owe you, Sion, the coffee that you, to read your coffee. And Robert also gave me a flat earth or a firmament related coffee. Shout out to the flat earth believers. And, Lin Yen Chin. So anyway, guys, let's get right on with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, how you guys doing? I am fine. I have my nice little pocket tee on. Keep me away from Artie Art, too smart. He's gonna pretend to tear out my pocket. He's gonna tear out my pretend like he's gonna tear out my pocket like a bully black in grade school. And maybe I'll turn this guy upside down. Turn my smile upside down, because it's a nice color combination. You know, Easter is coming up next year. Actually, awfully long hiss this morning. Oh, yeah, terrible. Promoting coffee is promoting drugs. Yeah, but you can buy me a coffee. That's not necessarily drugs. It's just a super chat, guys. buymeacoffee.com/the Hake Report. Hey, compliments for my shirt. Nice. So first things first, I gotta share some truth from Truth Social. Our greatest president, Donald J. Trump. Do I have this in the folder there? Dun, 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 dun. Trump! George Clooney, Biden, truth! I got a folder full of pictures here today and screenshots, really. Trump posted this on Truth Social. I'm on Truth Social as well, by the way, guys. So now, fake movie actor George Clooney, who never came close to making a great movie. Aw, is that a little... Was Ocean's 11 a great movie? Was he in Ocean's 11? I don't know if I ever saw that movie. It seemed like it was fun. But anyway, he's getting into the... Not that he made it great. Maybe he was a downer on it. He was a low point in that movie. He's getting into the act. He's turned on Crooked Joe, like the rats they both are. Crooked Joe's a rat, and George Clooney is a rat. George Clooney is an actor. He's had gray hair for a long time. He played in one of the lame Batman movies from that Joel Schumacher era. Joel Schumacher, I don't think he's very morally straight. Former movie producer. He's now passed on, I think. Rest in peace. He was in Grey's Anatomy or some hospital soap opera, basically, TV show that was very popular. And then he tried to get into movies. He did okay. But what does Clooney know about anything? He uses the Democrat talking point, says Trump, that Biden, we know Biden, he's also a rat, indeed. The worst president in the history of the United States, alleges Trump. I say it's Obama. Has saved our democracy. No, Crooked Joe was the one who weaponized law enforcement against his political opponent. I don't think it was Joe Biden. I think he was just a useful idiot for it, a willing idiot for it. Joe Biden didn't do anything. But anyway, if his administration definitely did. And he's not above it. You think he's above it? I don't think he's above it. There's no indication that Crooked Joe is above going after his political enemies. The Obama administration definitely did it. Out of control. Biden created the most devastating inflation in the history of our country. Embarrassed our nation in Afghanistan. Remember that pullout from Afghanistan where he pulled the Americans out of Afghanistan, at least some of our troops, and got some of our troops killed in Afghanistan? When I say he, I mean his administration, who's a bunch of bumbling, evil people. I almost said bumbling idiots, but they're worse than idiots. They're evil people. Idiots are evil people, right? Don't say that word too much, kids. Whose crazy open border policy has allowed millions of people, listen to this, to illegally pour, splitting his infinitives, our greatest president, but he splits the best infinitives. It's okay. I cut him some slack for that, right? I need to pull my WJLP thing closer. I like it to be seen. Okay. Yeah. To illegally pour into our country. To pour into our country illegally, he means. Yeah, they don't care about no one's above the law, except the illegals. They get to break the law. Stupid. Sorry, kids. Many from prisons and mental institutions, these people illegally come in. Crooked Joe Biden didn't save our democracy. He brought our democracy to its knees because, okay, so the story is that George Clooney? No relation to George Washington, by the way, that I know of. I think is he part Persian or something like that? George Clooney. He wrote an op-ed, I think, in the New York Slimes. According to what I read, if I remember correctly, from Hake News, Common Nonsense Network, CNN, he wrote an op-ed in the New York Times. Oh, Joe Biden must get out. Something like that. He didn't, but he saved our democracy. We love him, but he's got to go. He can't win. That's what George Clooney, I think, said, basically. We disavow him. I don't think he's Persian. Our resident Persian experts disavow him. George Clooney. Clooney should, yeah, so Joe Biden, so yeah, he's not for the truth. It's just devils turning on each other for power and influence and mama spirit. You know how mama thinks she's doing good. Shout out to Lisa, our resident health expert, by the way. She stated something funny. It was a Hake super. I think I have it over here. Hake super. From way back. Hold on. This was just yesterday. She said, I'm a mother who cares. Something like that. Because I was talking about mamas. And okay, I guess I don't have it handy. I thought I had screenshotted it. Trump should have coined him Looney Clooney. Yeah, George Clooney. Anyway, let me get back to the Trump thing. But shout out to Lisa, our resident health expert. She's a mother as well. Clooney should get out of politics and get back to television. Movies never really worked for him. Triple or maybe quadruple. I can't count when it's 3 or 4. When it's more than 2, I can't count. Movies never really worked for him. True or false? I think that could be true. I don't remember him from TV because I didn't ever watch that stuff. But right on, our greatest president, even with the split infinitives, I told you he would do stuff that I don't agree with. But he's still our greatest. Maybe in history, maybe not in history. I can't say. But thank you, our greatest president. Thank you, Hassan. All Hollywood stars are trenched in the corruption. Hollywood is the CIA, says Scarecrow's Garage. I relate somewhat to the speculation that you guys may have heard that Hollywood makes a lot of money, these actors, some of them. And some of them don't make much money, too. You know, these lame-o unknowns. And some of the ones that you know, they don't make much money. The ones who make all kinds of money have guilt over it. And so they try to be liberals because it feels good to be liberal because you're so generous with other people's money, with the government's money, which is not even the government's money. Doesn't belong to the government, or shouldn't, some of it. And so they're like do-gooders out of guilt. I think that could be true because that is relatable to everybody. Everybody has guilt, and everybody does quote-unquote good out of guilt very often, or a false sense of obligation or whatever. The evil mama spirit, you know what I mean? That is in everybody. And then on top of that, all artists are liberals. I said that about musicians, now I'm just going to say all artists, and actors are artists too, or so they think. Some of them are more scientific. They break it down to like it's just a science, and it just comes naturally. Shout out to them. Casting spells in Hollywood. So that's my speculation about why they're liberal, why they're do-gooders and stuff like that. You know, like that rich guy who's not Hollywood, but he's rich and liberal. Was married to a woman who's left his foundation, Bill Gates. Feeding the world and vaccinating the world. Does he have some bleeding heart? Or is he just pretending? I feel like George Soros, that liberal, evil, not Christian, disruptor of countries, supports evil in every country. Black Lives Matter. Did he support the Occupy movement? He subverted other countries, I heard, somehow. I don't know. Very rich billionaire. You hear him talk, or I've heard him talk within the last 10 years since when I was producer for the Jesse Lee Peterson show, and he would say the most dumb, canned statements, liberal talking points, or, communist, if you will, talking points. Democrats type talking points. And it's just like a talking point. I don't remember any specific talking point that he would say, but it would be just some dumb saying. And I'm like, this guy is either not smart or he knows how dumb people are and how subject to saying the right sayings that people are. You know, if you speak Christianese with a Christian who's all into Christian stuff, then they're like, amen, brother. Preach. And the dumb people who believe the popular liberal talking points that you hear the mainstream media say or all that, that's just feeding their egos, and then they will like you. Maybe he's smarter than me, in that sense. Because I'm too stubborn to go in with that stuff. And plus, I don't agree with it at all. Like, I'm not for that. So I don't really want to ingratiate myself with them in that way, I don't think. Although it is good to comply with the censorship Jannies. They are putting the clamp down. Try to get along with people as much as you can. So, now Christians are bad? Hake is confusing. Well, you know the Christian ones who like fall for the Christianese. You know that. Give me a break. You know what I'm talking about. You've listened to me. You really sincerely are confused by that statement? Maybe you're half listening, because if you're in the chat, you're not listening closely, and you're half listening and you're missing stuff. I think that's what happens. Maybe. Anyway, the phoniness of people and the phoniness of people's values, that sometimes they really sincerely held beliefs, you know, but it's phony. It is phony. It's just drama. Like a borscht. I remember I debated a borscht with a friend, or argued about a borscht. I say a borscht is short for, you know, the killing of the little ones, the fetuses. And I remember getting something like something, you know, I got heated. That's the word, heated. You got mad, kind of, with my friend, and it was just, I think my friend, his sister, I think, had committed an abortion. But he's like, and he's a liberal. He's like, it's a woman's body. And I judged him for saying that saying. It's a woman's body. I'm like, no, it's not. And I'm like, I got kind of impatient with him. He, as well as I, two phonies with phony values. No love in the situation. He might add more love than me. Because he checked me on getting heated about it. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, we could just go home. We were meeting up at a place, hanging out a little bit. So even the pro-lifers, with whom I agree, by overall, in principle, don't have the real love. That's what I mean. Hopefully that explains a little bit of that come on man who's confused about my criticism of the Christians. Hey, you know, it's an emotional subject. Hey, yeah, exactly, emotional. And people say it's an emotional subject. I'm like, no, it's not. It's a right and wrong subject. But it is emotional. It's right and wrong, and it's also emotional. And where it's emotional, it's not about right and wrong. It's just about your own ego and judgment and looking down on them. Crazy, huh? Interesting. I think it's sort of interesting how people are just people are phony and don't even know it. Whew. Let's hear from Daniel in Texas about the power outage. How you doing, Daniel? What's up?
Hey, James, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. Happy White History Month to you.
Well, thank you. It is a very happy White History Month, isn't it?
Yeah.
The east coast of Texas was hit by a hurricane, and the power outage is a big thing right now because we haven't had power since Monday.
Yeah.
And so it's just, we've been hit with bad storms. Usually once a year we get something really bad. And then, the power will be out. But this is kind of unusual how long the power has been out. And it makes me wonder if it has something to do with the quality of work compared to what it may have been in the past.
Yeah, I'm wondering the same.
Yeah. Or if it's just aging equipment, if it's just an aging electrical grid.
Could that be the same? It's almost the same issue because upkeep and updating is a white value.
Right, because if you already have the infrastructure, it's that much easier to maintain it.
Right.
As opposed to building it from scratch.
Yeah. Or if you have to, say you have to tear it out and put in new, replace the wires, replace the pipes, you have the gumption to go ahead and do it. If you're a civilized man.
You have the logistical capacity as opposed to being in a more rural area.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, the big thing on your network is about forgiveness and being alone with your thoughts. And with the power out and you're just in a hot box,
Yeah.
and you have nothing but time on your hands.
Yeah.
It is heck on earth dealing with that.
That's cool, man.
Because you're drenched in sweat. You're questioning all your life decisions up to this point. And it's cooler outside with the insects than it is inside without the insects.
Wow.
And you just can't get comfortable. You're not going to sleep. And so, I spent a lot of time in silence. And what I realized is how awful it is to be alone like that.
Yeah.
It really is insightful.
True.
Do you do that? Do you ever sit in the heat?
No way. No, I turn on the AC. I get yelled at or criticized for turning on the AC. I've sat with in different times, like without turning on music, which is different from not turning on the AC. But in a car on a long ride or whatever, and different things a little bit. But I haven't been forced into a situation like you're describing that I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really makes you realize how hard it is to do that.
Yeah.
Just sit in silence with, sweating, not able to sleep. You can't sleep in this.
Right. Wow.
You're drenched. You're drenched and you just can't get cool.
What's the low at night, out of curiosity?
I don't know, but it felt like it was 100.
Even at night, huh?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Because inside, because the air, well, there wasn't much of a wind either.
You're right.
Even outside.
And it's humid, huh?
It's humid. It's just like you're one with nature in all the worst ways.
Yeah. For 4th of July, I once went down to Willow Beach, Arizona, over the 4th of July weekend, maybe 10 years ago. And I don't think it went below 90. And so I was just laid out on under the stars like this with my hands open and bugs crawling on me eventually. And I eventually went to sleep, but it was pretty rough, and my buddy and I didn't stay that second night. We went to like a Motel 6. Never paid so much for Motel 6
Yeah.
to stay a second night, but it was crazy. Man, but that was dry heat. That was not humid heat.
Yeah. Well, I have these books that I have a lot of my textbooks for school, and so it gives me nothing else to do. So it gives me an opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So I just sit by candlelight with my textbooks, and man, it's the only way to take your mind off the discomfort is to be doing something. And so that's what and at night, what else are you going to do?
Right.
JLP would just say, well, why don't you just sit there in silence? It's like, man.
I don't know. He's not like he's against entertaining yourself for a little bit, but it is good to sit in silence, but it's it's fine to, entertain yourself a little with books and educate yourself and stuff. Because God didn't create you to just sit around all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at night when you're like, well, I'll just sleep through it. It doesn't happen.
That's wild.
I have not blanket, but towels laid out on my furniture and stuff because if I sit down, I'm just
soaking
sweating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I have my candle and my book, and that kind of passes the time, and I just kind of use that for sleep instead.
Yeah.
But I tell you, man, being alone with your thoughts.
Oh, so you can't even turn on a fan because there is no power, or do you have a generator?
Nope.
Whoa.
Nope.
So are you using up your last bit of battery by calling me?
I just go to a place locally and charge the phone.
Oh, okay.
So the phone's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But because I just go to a place and charge it. But
Nice.
I have animals, so I can't be gone for too long.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Anyway, the point is, that's the thing that came to mind last night when I was dealing with the heat, was sitting alone in silence and just questioning all my life decisions up to this point.
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
So what did you come up with with the questions?
Should I be eating better? Right. I'm about I look about like you.
Okay.
And so, you're kind of sitting there, you're sweating, and you're like, I could probably stand to lose a little bit.
Yeah.
No offense. But,
Yeah.
we're in the same boat, so you can take it.
Uh-huh.
But, that type of stuff, I could stand to lose a little bit,
A little bit of weight, talking about, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big deal. So, yeah.
This dude never did hard time, says take me to your dealer in the YouTube chat. Alien face emoji. Take me to... you've never been to prison.
No, I haven't been to prison. But, not recently. I guess I haven't been doing things recently that have...
Gonna put you in there. Yeah, that's good.
Condition.
Right.
Is that what prison is? Just they don't have air conditioning, or because that's not what
I think that he's talking more about being alone with your thoughts. I don't know what prison is like in terms of the
Oh no,
heat.
man. Look,
or cold.
Like I get to go to prison and be alone with your thoughts, but aren't you with people in prison? Like, aren't you typically rooming with somebody, or So
I've heard oftentimes.
I think there's a little bit more going on that I agree. I'm removed from that.
Yeah.
But, the alone with your thoughts thing, I think may be kind of hard in prison.
Oh, prison gets hot. He's saying prison gets hot.
Oh, okay.
Unless it's a private camp.
Well, I don't intend to go.
Yeah.
So, I'll be sure to stay away from prison if it's anything like this.
Yeah. Cool, man. It's good to hear from you. Interesting report. Definitely. We're pulling for you guys.
Right on. All right.
Take care, man.
Bye.
Bye. Wow. In Texas. 1.3 million, I think, is what I heard, without power. That's what I read in the Hake news at the end of hour 1, maybe. 1.3 million homes and businesses across southeast Texas still without power after Hurricane Beryl, or whatever it was, slammed into the Gulf Coast as a Category 1 hurricane Monday. So now it's Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 3 days later. Countless families, quote unquote, lost food in their warming fridges. Many stores still closed. Local authorities scrambling to distribute food to underserved, quote unquote, areas. Heat-related medical emergencies spiking in Houston, 90-degree temperatures blanketing parts of the state. So per Fire Chief Samuel Pena out of Houston. Senior care facilities and residents who rely on electrical medical devices, particularly at risk as power outages stretch through at least the end of the week. Whew. So shout out to Texas. Nature is awesome. God is awesome. You know what I mean? Crazy stuff in the world. A lot of people's phones aren't working. People trying to call Texas. Wow. Time to tax 70% to stop global warming, says Pablo. I know, what a joke. They can't stop anything. And they don't want to. They just want to use your money and punish you because you don't believe them. I believe them for the sake of my channel. And because, I don't, there's facts and then there's the truth. Okay? Even liberals have some facts. Michael in Canada on the line here. Always like hearing from you, man. How you doing, Michael?
What's up, my brother?
Not much. How about you?
Can you hear me well?
I do.
Yes, awesome.
You sound kind of like you're in a slightly echoey room. Stay close to your phone just so you come through clearly. I lied to you. I don't hear you that well.
Do you hear me?
That sounded better.
Okay, wait.
No, that sounds terrible.
Can you hear me well now?
Yes, that's perfect.
That's awesome, man. You know that I love you, Holy Hake. You're the best.
Yeah. Nice.
So Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, my fellow French-Canadian brother called in.
Yeah.
Is that Tuesday? Jason, is that Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday.
I think so.
And he had a hard time explaining himself. I understand. I'm French too. It's hard to explain ourselves when we speak French in our head.
Yeah.
And trying to speak English with our mouth. So I'm not going to talk for him, but I got my little experience with immigration and all of that. And it's a really, really a big problem out there.
Yeah.
Out here.
Jason in Canada called in. I think you're right. I think it was Tuesday. And he said that there are black foreigners in Quebec. I think that's how you guys pronounce it. And there was he witnessed what appeared to be a domestic violence incident or a neighbors yelling and woman with like a black eye or something. And they were blacks. They were like Africans or Haitians or something. And he cussed at them. And then they left.
Yes, but he must be African because Asian from Haiti.
Yeah.
They hear since a lot of time, so they're not like us, but they're not that dangerous. Not dangerous, but they don't act like the Africans.
Oh, okay.
They got their own things, like their food and things like that, but they dress well, they speak well, and they work just like us.
Oh, okay.
They are born here, and most of them, it's been a long time since they're here, but most of them are at Montreal. When I was growing up, I'm not from Montreal. I'm from a little city, not a little city, but not in Montreal, okay?
Okay.
And when I was young, I seen maybe one or two black people when I was a teenager or a young kid. So it was rare to see black people. But now there's a lot of African, and they're everywhere.
Wow.
Most of them, the older ones, so the dads and the mom and those blacks, those Africans, are hard-working people.
Yeah, I could imagine that.
There's two kinds of them.
Yeah.
There's Christian and there's Muslims. Most of the Christian African are good. They have weird things they do, and they put bags on their head and they walk in the streets without taking them by their hands.
Wow.
That's really third world like, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing we're not, we don't see that very often over here. We're white, you know, we westernized, like, just like you in the U.S. The other problem with these Africans is that they come here and they make babies. And once you make babies in Canada, if your baby is born in Canada, that is given you, not automatically, but near it, you're becoming a citizen.
Oh, wow.
And they do that a lot. And once they have babies, Most of them, my neighbor is an African woman. She had a baby with another African here. But if the one with the guy with who she made that baby, if he wants to stay in Canada, he got to do whatever she tells him to do.
Wow.
Because it's not guaranteed to the man, but it's guaranteed to the mother. Because over here, having a father, it's not obligated at all. Most of my friends and I didn't have a father growing up, so
Whoa.
that's not a problem.
Yeah.
And getting your babies at 6 months and putting them in the daycare center, it's all day long. Everybody do this. Even the families keep fighting to keep that way. So the mom can go work and all of that.
Yeah.
So anyway, and they are not ready to become, they are citizens of Canada, but they are not willing to take our culture. You know, in Quebec, we speak French, and we are very proud of that. Most of them speak French.
Yeah.
But when it's time for the Mexicans those one don't want to understand French, and that's bothering a lot of people. So that's another problem. The other problem is that they take social services money a lot.
Huh.
Once they do babies, they get out of work for the women. I don't talk about the men, because most of the men are not. They're not gonna stay here. After some years, they got to go back. But they take that money, and that's not good because it's our money.
Right.
You know, if I want to go to the U.S. and live in the U.S., I got to take my own money and bring my own money and make my own businesses. And those things, I don't want to be helped.
Yeah.
If I want to go somewhere, I want to live like you guys, or whatever I'm going to in the world. The next things with Mexicans and Africans, both of them, is that they take our money and they ship it overseas. And if you know a little bit about economy, that's not good at all, because it's destroying our currency, and the money don't stay at home. It goes everywhere.
What Trump wanted to do here was take money, remittances from when they send money home.
Kind of taxes.
Kind of like that. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not good to tax people, but they're not from here, so they need to pay at some point.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, man.
Yep.
Never thought about it.
That was how he was going to pay for the wall. That was the plan.
The wall going up.
Yep.
Not anymore, but maybe one day will.
Yeah. We'll see.
So, and there's that in Quebec, Canada, you know, Canada is a big country, but it's not populated a lot. So there's not much cities, not much big cities, and we don't have place to locate them. So what's happening is that the people that live here had to pay for this because, you know, since there's immigration here in Quebec, where I'm from, there was nearly zero bomb in the streets, nearly zero. Now they are everywhere because they take the apartment that are ghetto, like the place where I live, but I got a chance to live with all the Africans and the Mexicans, so they don't take down my block, my building to give them to the African. But they did it to all the ghettos near me. But I live in a ghetto. I can't even look at the window and see through it. So.
Wow.
But anyway, but it's my choice because the housing problem over here in Canada, it's real tough. For a 3-bedroom, I don't know what it's like in California. I know it's rough too, but for a 3-bedroom, even in the little city where I'm from, it's like $800 a month. But since I'm here from a long time in my apartment, I pay a little bit less than that. So that's why I live in a ghetto.
So $800 a month for did you say 3-bedroom for
three-piece apartment. How do you say that in English?
Oh, so like a bedroom, a bath, and a kitchen?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So just a studio apartment, basically.
In French, Nuggetman can write it in the chat. We call it un trois et demi.
Oh.
I don't know what it is in English.
Because $800
it's
is
what you,
$800 sounds. I mean, it's sort of expensive. That's expensive, right? For you guys?
I mean, that's for a cheap one. If you want something
Right.
good with thermal pump and all these things and like ACs and it will be like $1,200.
Yeah.
$1,200.
But that depends on
like
how
that.
much money you're making too. So, interesting.
No. I mean, over here, they don't check your if you're, they don't check your balance. If
Oh,
you
it's
want
a so
you
it's a
can get
one.
but
If it's three-piece, it's a one bedroom. Because bedroom means a room with a bed in it, or a room that a bed goes into. Yeah.
And the demi is the retro, where you take a bath and go take your.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's the DAT 5.
But they have a housing
DAT 5
crisis.
apartment.
Both you and Jason from my other French Canadian caller said there is a housing crisis, not enough housing, and it's probably kind of expensive, and yet they're still bringing in all these immigrants. What a mess.
And you know why there's a crisis problem? Housing crisis problem? There's too much regulation. People cannot build a building without the regulation, and the regulation are like ecologist crap.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yep.
if there's a certain kind of animals that live there, we cannot take these animals and place it another place to make it a building right there.
Yeah.
You can't do that. And even for the old building, like the ville of Quebec, it's a medieval kind of city.
Oh, cool. Didn't know
So
that.
everything that's very old, like in the 60s and not 60s, but from the beginning of the colonization, you cannot touch that neither.
Oh, yeah. Right, because it's historical, so they want to preserve it. The rich
Exactly.
people want to preserve their neighborhoods. And
Exactly.
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah.
For
Understandable.
real, the immigration is a real problem over here because we are not, we don't have the infrastructure for those kind of people, and they're truly from a third world.
Yeah, they
I
don't
would
have the
not say
culture.
that for the Mexicans because they're westernized a little bit like us.
True.
They are clean, they make good food, they're well-mannered, but they don't want to be a part of the society. They
Yeah.
don't want to speak French. They don't want to hang with us. They hate us. They're
Yep.
just here for our money, and they're clear about it. So I can respect that.
Yeah. Understandable.
But the African are from the third world. Man, these people are nasty. They eat food, nasty food, man. It smells awful. It's not cool, man. You
Yeah.
know, we are not like that over here. We take care of our things. We are not becoming what we are today by hanging around smoking pot, man. You know.
What
And
a mess.
The most of them, the older ones are good, but the younger generation are brainwashed, just like the blacks in the United States.
Disrespectful.
And it's a real shame.
Yep. I noticed that even among the Mexican and other south of the border immigrants, among my friends versus their parents were more respectful than the well, that's the case with young people in general. Young people disrespectful, easily brainwashed, corrupted by the corrupt culture here, and also corrupted by the corrupt culture of their own culture. And so it's not good.
I'm the first to say it, man. I lived through it.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a little tug, when I was young, I did a lot of things, a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised, man, that I'm listening to people like you, man, because I'm not one of you, man. I'm not one of your kind, man.
Meaning you're not one of those. You mean you're not one of me, as in like not one of the nice Christian raised, homegrown.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I understand. Definitely.
Yeah, man. What you said to Jason, yeah, we're truly from another kind, man.
Yeah.
We're truly another kind, man. We're just like the blacks, man.
That's funny.
Let me tell you. And we are a lot of redneck over here, and we're very, very proud, man. So there's a lot of fight breaking up once over here and there. But, when I was young, man, we were always playing like that, If you can't take a punch, man, I won't say that.
Yeah. Well, it's great hearing from you.
I got a suggestion for you.
Okay,
you
let's hear
it in the suggestion box.
All right.
First of all, when you say Canada,
yeah.
please, for me, say Canada.
Okay. It sounds
we're
good.
French Canadian. We say Canada.
I did not know that. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say it more French. So that's good to know. I shall put that in the suggestion box. Canada.
Yeah. And the second one, please don't compare us to the French from France.
Oh, okay.
We're not like them. We're not. We consider them our cousin.
Yeah.
But they're not like us. They're way too liberal.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Over here too, but only in the big cities, man. If you go to the countryside and the little cities and that, we are redneck, man.
Okay. Good to know. Well, France was they were thinking of electing Marine Le Pen, who, although she's a woman, she's considered far right by the far left extremist mainstream media.
Well,
so maybe there's some decent French cousins of yours over in France.
Yeah. Well, they say that about Marine Le Pen because she want to take all the Muslim out. And one of the people she runs with, he's advocating for if a Muslim make a baby in France, he cannot name it Mohammed. You got to name it a French name.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
That's piss a lot of people.
Yeah.
But France it's over for France, man. Right now it's really over. They are truly communist, man. I'm always crying about the taxes over here, but like right there, it's hell, man.
Oh, okay.
It's nearly 60% of your income, man.
Wow.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's great hearing from you, Michael, in Canada.
Hey, have a nice day, Hake.
All right, you too. Appreciate you, man.
God bless you, man.
You too. Bye. That's cool. Aaron of Aaron C is on the line here. What is up, Aaron? How you doing, man? Of Aaron C out of Utah.
My man. What's going on?
Not much. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, I meant to call in the day before yesterday. I wanted to know what the conclusion was for your chat and your audience. What was the majority's conclusion on, like, the Patriot Front thing?
Oh. My conclusion is it's a mixture of young, excited young men,
mm-hmm.
and possibly feds. I don't know. Or,
okay.
Or Fed compromised people,
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I saw the people with the same sentiment as me in the chat. I'm not sure if any of them kind of, told you something similar, being like, every time somebody seems to, like, rise up and want to do something of any kind,
right.
They're immediately labeled Fed.
Right.
That's just kind of
fair point.
How that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like well, I won't name the other group, but they seem a little, among those people that seem a little bit more radical, confrontational. They're not as wild as the other group that I'm thinking of, with the handsome guy. But those guys are also labeled feds too, huh? And yeah, I can sympathize with that. I don't assume that they're feds. I'm not like that.
Now, okay, because that particular group we're talking about,
yeah.
I did activism with them for several years. I can tell you firsthand, definitely not feds.
Yeah.
Something I'd like to explain to the chat, because I'm sorry, it just really, really frustrates me. Okay, someone that did activism for real. It's extremely frustrating to see these keyboard warriors at home who literally absolutely do nothing.
Yeah.
Just throwing that label around. And something else that the people that are idiots that need to realize that they need to realize that feds don't do jail time. Okay. the handsome guy you're talking about did 30 days. The judge gave him the maximum for littering, for passing out flyers, okay?
Yeah.
And then I believe it was I can't remember if it was Mr. Russo himself, but a bunch of people got jammed up with legal issues because, was it in Idaho? Was it like in Coeur d'Alene or something that they like hopped out of the truck or something like that? They got charged with either attempting to start a riot, something like that. These people are actually getting in legitimate legal trouble, you know, and spending time in that cage. For everyone listening out there, if you're a Fed, part of the role, if you're like acting in a role, it doesn't include jail time, okay? Feds get to go home to their family every night, no matter how crazy the job is, right?
Yeah.
Or
they're embedded deep and they don't see their family, but they're spies and they don't. Well, anyway, interesting. Yeah.
I mean, unless they're undercover in like a motorcycle gang where they have to like travel with the, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. And unless that's the case, then I mean, because that's the only way. But yeah, I just wanted to call and just, you know, everyone out there listen to this whole, they're feds, you know, that whole thing. They're marching around with American flags, etc. I mean, there's no reason just to jump to some kind of ridiculous conclusion like that.
Yeah, that's. It's interesting that you're irritated by them, and I understand it, definitely, I think.
Well, there's a reason why, okay? I've put myself out there. I've done activism. I've had Antifa attempt to dox me and stuff like that. You know, I've gotten into fist fights with these people in the streets. So these keyboard warriors that sit back and remember, they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
They're getting nothing done. Their little comments in the chat solve nothing, okay? I just point that out. I gotta run, man. I just had to throw that in there.
Do you have a moment to explore with me a little bit about the ego of patriotism, non-patriotism, activism, non-activism, all that? Do you have an extra moment?
Sure. I mean,
okay.
Could you just put me on hold could you just take one more call and I get back on, or?
Oh, okay. If you gotta go, you gotta go. I'll just make my comment and you can.
2 minutes, but yeah.
Okay, so if you got 2 minutes, I say that even this activism stuff doesn't change much. Like it doesn't change anything. It's better to just live your life. I split my infinitive, and be a light in the world, if you will. You know, like maybe run for something. Sometimes it's educational, like Asmodor was somewhat educational, you know, and he kind of set a good example, helped people learn lessons about things, stuff like that. But other than that, there's a lot of ego to activism that's not actually doing anything either. It's like turning people off and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, I think you and I have teed off on this before as far as just the sit by and do nothing thing.
Well, that's not the alternative. That's not the only alternative. I'm just saying this activism stuff, like you may think more of yourself having done this activism stuff than you actually did. You may think you did more than you actually did. You know? What good did it do? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead.
What good did it do?
I mean, it's way. Well, do you not see Twitter and all that? I mean, like, X is pretty much like our site now. I mean, like, you know, you're saying it did nothing. It's woken up tons of people to who's destroying the country. I mean,
your phone switched to like Bluetooth or speakerphone or something. Okay, so Twitter. So there's a lot of people, quote unquote, awake to. Yeah, I did acknowledge that it can spread a little bit of awareness about what's going on. I'll grant you that. It sounds like you got to go, though. It's good to hear from you, of Aaron C. Take care, man.
Take care, man.
All right. Bye. I just feel like there's a false pride in having done time or having the law come down on you. There's like a false, useless, what good does that do? You or anybody. I've thought this even about the people who have gotten discrimination lawsuits and discrimination shutdowns on their businesses and stuff like that for not baking the gay cake or making the gay flowers for the so-called same-sex weddings and stuff like that. There are smarter ways to do it. You know, you are as free as you want to be. Somebody said in the chat, it was a very interesting statement, that people, it was a day or two ago, maybe 3, that whites can have more freedom than they have, but they tell it. They tell what they're doing. And so they get caught. They get the meddlers involved and who shut them down. You may recall there were some churches who were big grandstanders against the closing down of the businesses, the closing down of the churches, and some of them got the law coming down hard on them. You know, the so-called law. The police enforcing the evil politicians' evil shutdown orders. And what good did that do, being a grandstander, you know? Like, oh, look at me, I'm standing up for freedom. Whereas if you just exercised your freedom quietly, you could fly under the radar and still have your freedom, rather than peeking your head up to say, look at me, feds, look at me, local government, look at me, liberals who want to shut me down. Look at me, look at me. There are wise ways to do things to keep your freedom. And we could have so much freedom. But there are people who do these things out of anger, out of pride, out of principle, quote unquote. And they bring more trouble on even the rest of us sometimes. There are people who've done shootings because they're mad at, you know, the attack on the war against whites, and brought, sometimes on purpose, accelerationist-wise, brought even more trouble on the whites. A lot of good that did. It did no good. So that's, but a lot of people are blind. Like, I think of Air and Sea, and there are other guys who are blind to, like my caller Mark from Los Angeles, blind to loving your enemy. I'm not saying of Air and Sea is blind to love. Oh, he might be. He might be. Because they don't know what love is. So they think, oh, it's just appeasement and being nice, and they don't know what love is. Even though they're Christians. I think they're both Christians. They don't know what wisdom or love is. They just have this this ego puffing up and trying to do something and spread awareness and stuff like that. Thinking that that's a way, thinking people learning about the Jays or learning about the attack on the whites is awakening them, and it's not awakening people. It's just drawing them deeper into knowledge and anger, really. You find out that there's an attack on whites, you realize, oh my gosh, there is an attack on whites, and it's ridiculous. And they get angry. Oh yeah, it is jive. So that's not awake. That's not awake. Anyway, but shout out to Aaron of Aaron C. Appreciate him and appreciate Mark too. The people judging them are blind too. They're RINOs, Hake, Christians in name only. That's most people. What a mess. It is the top of the hour. I will get back to calls, guys. 1-888-775-3773. I got to get to the super chats. I am remiss in my duty to read Sion C's 3 coffees. I get where Jesse's coming from. J.D. Vance, his firm look and all that. But ask a true Ohio in and about him. And Sion's not from Ohio. She's from, like, Florida or somewhere. Georgia. Something. I don't know. Geography. Not Maze, because she is a liberal. Yeah, Sion's from Africa. J.D. Vance is a RINO. He's a deep stater. So is Rubio. Marco Rubio, I know he's a RINO. I know he's lame. Or at least he's been lame for years. J.D., he was definitely kind of anti-Trump, but maybe he was young and dumb and has, people change, people repent. Trump has said stuff that has been ridiculous. You should have heard what Trump said about, who's that based guy? Nationalist, friends with JLP, Pat Buchanan. You should have heard what Trump said about Pat Buchanan. But Trump is the man. So people grow. Not that J.D. Vance necessarily grew, okay? J.D. Vance is a RINO. He's a deep stater, blah, blah, blah. He literally sold Ohio for the liberal California tech companies. No working Republican conservative voted for J.D. Vance. Tell Jesse Baer to really look deep into J.D. Vance. Ask a true blue-collar Republican Ohioans. Yeah, you might be right, Sion. You're really on this anti-J.D. Vance kick. What's gotten into you? But thank you, Sion. Interesting. A shout out. Super chat from Robert. Bought a coffee. Do you really think the firmament, quote unquote, is air, atmosphere, air/atmosphere? The term implies something hard and firmament. Like that. Nothing can get in. God gave us this protective bubble of the firmament. It burns up into the atmosphere when you try to pierce it in. Otherwise, it would be called the airmament, says Robert. Firmament. I'm hitting the firmament. I cannot get into the firmament. This is the flat earth when we cannot get out of it. Heaven. And I'm looking at this. Heaven, realm of God. Literally above, like, okay? And then there's waters above, and then there's the surface of waters. And then there's this firmament bubble. And there's the sun and the moon and the stars inside of the firmament. Wow. And then there's the earth, and then there's the underworld, and there's the waters below inside of the firmament. So they think. So they interpret. But firmament, did you know? Correct me if I'm wrong, Spanish speakers. Globetard Hake is my favorite, says Pablo. Nice. Let me get my globe. Did you know? Correct me if I'm wrong, Spanish speakers, but isn't the sky called... Man, it's so different when I'm talking without my headphones on. I feel like talking like this. It's this el cielo, right? And cielo is ceiling. Ceiling, same root word. Ceiling sounds firm and solid because it's the top of the room, right? The interior top of the room. And then the cielo is the sky in Spanish. Ciel. So firmament just means the expanse, and it's like held in. Like the firmament has the stars, and it has the firmament, they just mean the sky. The stars in the sky. Let me get this globe. Hopefully I didn't bump the TV. And the firmament is cool. It's awesome. That's why they call it firme. So look at this. Beautiful. This has part of the firmament in it. So the firmament is not just the atmosphere, I guess, but it includes the atmosphere, right? The waters above are the clouds. The clouds have water above it, in it. And the clouds drop the water. Hake's hairline always makes me feel good about mine. Whatever, Raymond 11, you're basically Mexican in my eyes. Shout out to the Mexicans. Look at the flat earth behind you, Hake. No, this is the ball earth. That's an obvious globe. Beautiful, crisp horizon. It clearly just drops off. It just drops off. Boom. Boom. So, yeah, you're putting words in the Bible's mouth. Don't be putting words in the Bible's mouth. Ceiling and cielo are unrelated. Oh, so says, come on, man. Oh, that's right. They swap out. They swap the letters, huh? It might not be related. All right. I guess I take that back. I thought I discovered something. Are you sure? Are you sure it's unrelated? Come on, man. Or are you just making a claim? I made a claim without being sure. No, this balloon globe came. This would not have been my selection for a globe. I've been looking for I want a globe. I haven't been looking. But yeah, this came from one of our flat Earth friends who sent it to Sean, our greatest producer, JLP's greatest producer. So, and Sean unbuttoned this little seal here and then flattened the Earth. Very vicious. Shout out to Sean. Sean. I just looked it up. Says, come on, man. Okay, I'll believe you. Hake gets educated by the chat. How do you flood a ball? It never said that it flooded over the entire globe. It flooded all the Earth. So let's say this is Earth here. This is the Earth here, meaning the dirt. The Earth is the ground. And it flooded over all the ground. Oh. Let me answer in a second, Joel. Thanks for the question or whatever. So anyway, yeah, nobody ever said it's a global flood except for you guys. The Bible doesn't say that. The Bible is just talking about from their perspective. The Bible is not like a scientific, this is what it actually is. No, they're just describing from their perspective what it was, what it looked like. Duh. Flat earthers jumping to all kinds of crazy conclusions. And you can easily flood this. Look at how the water was. It totally could have been flooded, but I don't think it was. I don't think that's even what it says. It doesn't say that. Don't you whatever me. Flat Earth is intelligent design. That's what you think. Round Earth is evolution. No. Ball Earth is much more of an intelligent design than the flat Earth. Flat Earth is boneheaded. Although there are bones in the head, so hey. Did you hear the hollowness? I don't know if you can hear that. Okay, sweet. Hake believes airplanes do front flips. Nice. L Flat Earth, says Derek. That's right. See, even Derek, our new Flat Earth producer, JLP's new Flat Earth producer, is, instead of a Bible, Hake brings a globe to church. Thank you, Robert. Very fun coffee. Appreciate the question. Hopefully okay, so Cielo and Ciel, I don't know. Come on, man claims that it's not related, but whatever. Anyway. Okay. A few more super chats, guys. A few more super chats. Over on Streamlabs, Lin Yen Chin says, tell the new guy that men don't debate. Debate is hate. Men communicate, not argue, but share their sense for bettering of the world at large. To debate is to argue, and to argue is to woman. Be a man, which is to be still, to see clear through all doubt. Thank you, Lin Yen Chin. That's a little tip for, what's his name? Derek, the country black flat earther producer for the Jesse Lee Peterson Show. So says Lin Yen Chin. Thank you, Lin Yen Chin. So saith Lin Yen Chin, who says, have you noticed when mouth breathers fling that overused and pointless exclaim, fact! Those are the facts, James. You go indignant, a.k.a. mama, as your eyes focus and spittle in rage of your body tensed for a fight. That tells you it really means defy me at your peril. Whoa, interesting. Fair point, Lin Yen Chin. That's their evil spirit jumping into your body, and you become possessed with their evil spirit. AKA, they make you mad. Humans don't have the empty impulse to lay emphasis on the evident, much less feel rage when the evident is being challenged. Only mouth breathers have such useless nodes of wrath, says Lin Yen Chin. The purpose of language is to be general, so one might generate more specific sense through dialogue. Exactly, Lin Yen Chin. Mouth breathers are lazy. They want specific sense, but refuse the work of sensing how phrasing lets one align words to generate a meta sense, more useful than using suffix to make so-called specificity, which is just regurgitation of stored intellect. Interesting, Lin Yen Chin. I love it. Much appreciated. Somebody said Hake has a beautiful mind. Oh, no. Lin Yen Chin has a beautiful mind. But I disavow that. Was that some lame movie with that lame guy who's... Is he going to be in part 2 of Gladiator 2? Is he going to be in Gladiator 2? Okay, a Rumble rant from Hades 07524. I'm a flat earther, and Dave got wrecked by JLP. He doesn't know science and tried to riz Jesse, LOL. Get a better representative. So says Pablo. Thank you, Pablo. Pablo. Good to hear from you, man. All right. Mark in Los Angeles, California, has been on hold for a bit of time. Mark, thank you for calling and holding there. What's up?
You forgot.
Happy White History Month.
Thank you. Happy White History Month. I'm going to remind you every time I call in this month, if I don't hear, because you said it to one of your callers today, but
nice.
You've been kind of slacking off. I'll keep you up on your toes.
Sounds good.
You mentioned, you've talked about these black Hebrew Israelite people. I saw a special on TV the other day. You may have seen it yourself, about a man in Florida who headed the group, and I may be getting his name a little off, but I think it was Ben Yawa. Are you familiar with who that is?
Not offhand. No, it doesn't ring a bell.
He was the leader of that cult, and they profiled him, and he was very anti-white. I mean, he was a white hater. He advocated, and there was a small clique of their members who were going around killing whites down in Florida. They were caught. Now, this is going back 25 or maybe 30 years ago, and I don't even know if that man's alive anymore.
Whoa.
But that's a little bit of an insight of who these guys are. I'm not saying they're all killers, but the leader certainly was. And he messed around with some of the members' wives. It was terrible. Well, this came from a former member that was on the show, on this documentary. He talked about, he was black, of course, and he said that they were white haters, and he was himself one. And then he got away from the group because this Ben Yawa was having sex with his wife. But anyway, I just wanted to get that out there. The other thing, yesterday, I think it was yesterday, you were criticizing Louis Farrakhan.
Yeah. I forget what about, but yeah.
Well, let me just tell you, I'm not against him. I know he's anti-white, but the difference with him is that he's for separation. He's anti-communist. And for what it's worth, he was one of the event organizers back in the early 60s that allowed and invited George Lincoln Rockwell to speak to the nation on 2 occasions. So I wouldn't criticize him too hard. You know, I don't know what you were talking about in regards to him yesterday. He's not a perfect person.
Right.
But he's done some good. And there was actually a time, some decades ago, this may be going back to the 80s, when this Ben Yawa actually had a joint meeting with Farrakhan together in Florida. And one of the things I remember, I listened to a little bit of the speech. One of the things Farrakhan said was that, look, they say I hate Jews, but here I am with these Jews, but they're fake Jews, of course. He didn't say that.
The black Hebrew Israelites?
Yeah. So there is an unspoken alliance between the two groups.
Yeah.
Because do you remember the zebra killings of the 1970s?
No. I might have
Okay,
heard
okay.
about it. It might be in the Antidote, JLP's book, but I don't offhand remember.
Okay, it was. There's a beautiful book you should read. I know you don't like reading, but it's called Zebra, and it profiles from an insider's view. I think there were 4 or 5 black Muslims that were connected to the Nation of Islam, and they were on a kill whitey spree. And the cops don't even know how many victims there really were, but they finally caught them. This happened between 74 to like 75 or 6. And they were called the Zebra Killings. They took place in San Francisco mainly, but also there were some, I've talked to some police officers who've told me they suspect some of the murders were in the Los Angeles area too. And, but they busted them, they finally caught up to them. One of the victims was the son of the mayor of San Francisco.
Whoa.
I forgot his name. It was an Italian name, like Aliotto or something like that. Not related to the judge on the court, but just a similar last name. And his son was a victim of they would just go up and shoot white people on the street. And in the book, it details how they captured a homeless guy and tortured him by cutting off his limbs while he was still alive. This is the depth of depravity that these savages have. And I know you should take up reading. It's a good habit.
Yeah.
And you'll learn a lot too. But in the book Zebra, it profiles the entire thing. So I just wanted to let you know, Farrakhan isn't our hero. He is, but how would you call him? He's a, I don't know. There should be a word for that. He's an ally.
Okay.
But, not in all ways. But what was your criticism of him anyway?
I don't remember offhand. I do remember anger is one of his issues. He's angry.
Well, by that definition, every human being is damned.
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
So why pick on him?
Because he's pushing it, and he's like leading a whole bunch of blacks down the path of anger. Like mixes a little bit of facts with lies. Well,
can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Would you at least give him credit for allowing George Rockwell to speak at their convention?
That's nice. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so he's not all bad, He did some good. I mean, he's not advocating race mixing. He's not advocating for communism. So, he may hate whitey, but, who else are you going to deal with these people? Who else?
I'm not saying you shouldn't deal with him. Like he has a big following. It's a lot of people are suckers to his message. Even some whites think he's base because he criticizes Jews. So it's fine to talk to him. I'm just saying that he is an evil person and he's misleading people.
Well, his people don't take welfare. They do commit crimes, but what group of blacks don't?
No, I've acknowledged that the so-called religious blacks, like the Israelites and the Nation of Islam people, they are like oftentimes they're former criminals, but they try to be family men and family people and orderly and civilized and follow the rules of they follow certain morals, quote unquote.
Okay.
But they're still evil. I forget what it was that I said. It had to do with, I think it had to do with mixing facts with lies and arrogance and pushing hatred as though it's good, pushing anger as though it's justified. Oh yeah, he tried to accuse Trump of trying to start a race war, by Trump threatening to bring the National Guard to Chicago.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
right.
So he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Well, he's a wolf in wolf's clothing, kind of.
Well, to be complete on that, he did endorse Trump, from what I've heard. He gave Trump an endorsement for what it's worth.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what I heard.
A lot of people, a lot of evil people endorse Trump. I'm not. I'm just saying that. Bottom line, he's evil, and you're right. All human beings are evil.
Yeah. So why go after him?
Why not? He's evil.
Well,
People don't know that he's evil. People are deluded into thinking he's based. People have a very low standard of based. They think, oh, if you talk crap about the Jews, you're based or something like that. And that's not based.
Look, I wouldn't put it this way, but I would never give him money, Farrakhan. I wouldn't do anything in that way to help him. But when I meet his people on the street, they pass out their paper. I asked a couple of them one time, what should I do as a white man from your perspective? What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And you know what their answer was? To either join the KKK or the Nazis. That was their answer. So,
you got this
that's
guy
what
laughing.
you're dealing with. One other thing, too, you should know about the Muslims and the Nation of Islam. In Michigan, this is going back some years, there were a bunch of Klansmen that they arrested somewhere in Michigan. And when they took them to jail, the black Muslims that were in there protected those Klansmen from other blacks. So that's something to think about, too.
All right, man.
Pardon me?
I said, all right, man.
Yeah. So, think about it. Have a happy White History Month. And
thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it, Mark. Good to hear from you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Manuel in California has been on hold for quite some time. Manuel, thank you for calling and holding there, man. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing? Oh, well, sorry.
Nice. Right on. I'm doing fine as well.
Good. I don't know. I was going to talk to you about like the people that believe in Jesus and is God and all that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. But when I hear that like people are saying in my mind that Jesus or God, one of them, is a con man of some sort, because they say that he had to like hide who he really was, deceive who he really was, because he couldn't just tell people like, oh, I'm God. I'm just in the flesh of this person.
Yeah.
As if it was like a con man of some sort. Like, why would Jesus have to lie for people to understand who he is or what he's doing? So
I do remember instances in the Bible where Jesus is like, my time has not yet come. He would not lie, but he would withhold what he was about, what he was really about.
Right. But as a person, as like, okay, he has to come here and lie to the people and say that he is Jesus instead of God.
Yeah.
To me, that's like almost like a con, like why would he have to lie to you?
Yeah.
So that's one thing that's always thrown me off on that.
Yeah.
Like I've never read the Bible. I grew up Mormon actually.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even really read that Bible either. My mom just made us go do that stuff.
Interesting. So, did you ever read the Book of Mormon as a little Mormon kid?
No.
Okay.
I would hike. I would go play basketball for them. They had like a basketball league.
Yeah.
But other than that, I didn't read the Bible. I would go like pick on kids there too. I'd go hide the Bibles. I was a little hoodlum, so.
Yeah. It's an interesting question. Why would JLP asked a similar question? Why wouldn't he just make it clear that he was God, rather than you have to interpret different statements to mean, oh, he is God, based on before Abraham was, I am, or in the beginning the Word was with God, and the Word was God, the Word became flesh, blah, blah, blah. It's all interpretations, just like the firmament stuff, the flat earth stuff. People interpret stuff, get into their heads, and then there's a whole bunch of people together confirming to one another that their interpretation, and they're all lost and evil and judgmental and no peace.
Right.
Yeah.
As if like a big lie had to be told just to get the story out.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't make sense. Why would you have to lie? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Mormons believe, if they believe the same thing. Like I said, I never paid attention in there.
Nice.
Like, even when they baptized me, they baptized me, and my dad put a quarter in my hand.
Uh-huh.
And he said, when you come up, tell everyone when you found a quarter. So, like, I didn't take any of it serious, I was a young kid.
Right.
Never paid attention to any of that.
I didn't know that you were raised Mormon. That's interesting. So now you're just, what are you? What do you consider yourself? Are you Christian or are you what?
Yeah, I'd say Christian. Yeah, like something happened. I'll have to sit down and explain it, but something happened to me. Well, let me explain it this way. So I don't have any feeling below my, I don't know if I can say this word, but chest.
Okay.
Like, those two little things we all have. From there down, I don't have any sensation or feeling from there.
Yeah.
And then on the back side of my arms, I can't feel that either. So I have like no sensation of feeling. Like I'll take a shower, I can't even tell if I'm wet.
Wow.
That's what I tell people that, and they're like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Yeah, really think about it. If you got into a cold pool, you had no idea how cold it was.
Right.
You wouldn't get that shivering. You wouldn't freak yourself out. Like, oh, I don't want to get in. It's cold. Like, none of that.
Yeah. And
So,
this is from a car accident or something that happened relatively recently. Within the past 10 years.
Yeah, 8 years ago.
Okay.
I got in a car accident, roll over, broke my neck.
Okay.
So, like, I remember I was, like, yelling at because I was still angry. I was yelling at my kid one day, and, like, I couldn't get any, like, sensation from it. Like, people, like Jesse explains, like, you get this feeling, and you react with it, and then it just goes on from it. Like, I wouldn't get any of it. I would just get, like, the action or the thought of being angry, and it finally clicked in my head, like, why am I even, like, going about it this way, like, yelling, getting upset, and then ever since then, it's just always been like Jesse says, you're not your body. Those feelings aren't yours, and it all clicked. And
nice.
So, like, ever since then, I've just, like, really believed, like, exactly what Jesse's, like, the Christian. That's why it's hard for me to say I'm Christian, because I've never read the Bible.
Okay.
But nothing has made more sense in my life than what you guys say and do on your guys' show. Like, I know I'm not my body.
Yeah.
Like, I really, really, really understand that now. Like, one day I was crying like a beta because I used to get with a bunch of girls, and then now I don't, But then I saw, like, wow, I'm crying over, like, not being able to get with women and blah, blah, blah. But yet when I was married at one time, and me and her divorced, and she texted me for, like, a year every single day and would call me every single day, and I would never, ever, ever respond.
Uh-huh.
I would just, like, whatever, get out of my life. Like, you're crazy. And then I'm over here sitting here crying, like, wow, no one will call me, no one will text me back. The same exact thing that I've done to every single woman in my life, it's just being returned back to me. So what you do to others is what you're doing to yourself.
Yeah.
Just ever since then, I've, like, really believed what you guys say. Like I really do believe I am a Christian. Like, I understand what it is I don't understand. I think I understand what it is to die of your ego, because I used to be something, and I was nothing. I thought I was strong. I thought I was confident. I was none of those things. It was all a front, a coat, to put out to the world so I didn't seem weak and crazy.
Yeah.
I thought I would never in my life ever be a religious person or, like, go that route, because I even divorced my wife because of religion. Crazy.
Well, women do get into the religion in a weird way. It's understandable. That's funny. I mean, yeah. I guess I disavowed divorcing over it.
Yeah, no, I was in the wrong. Like, I see that. Like, it wasn't even in the right way either, because we were dating like 8 years before that, off and on, and then we broke up, and we got married. Well, she didn't want to have, the deal before marriage. She was like, "Oh, we can't do that anymore. We got to get married first."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Whatever." I went and bought her a ring that night, and was like, "Here, let's get after it."
Just so you could have the S with her. That's funny.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I had selfish reasons. Now, like, the situation I'm in, I can't feel that,
Right.
What I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So, like, I know for sure there's no way a woman can control me now.
Right.
Like, that thing has no control over what I do or think or whatever.
Interesting.
And it's funny because my baby mama will be like, "Oh, hey," like trying to send me stuff to like try and get me to go along with something, and I just laugh like, "That ain't a word."
What an interesting life.
Huh?
I said, what an interesting life you have now.
I love it. I tell everyone, they're like, "Man, I can't wait for you to walk," and I'm like, "Dude, I never want to walk again. I don't want to go back to how things were. I would just be a complete mess. I'd be cheating on women and causing problems, like 10 kids running around. Like, I'm good."
Interesting, man. What a story. What a life.
Oh, one other thing, I'll let you go.
Okay.
Have you ever asked Joe if he believes in trickle-down economics?
I have not.
All right, I'll wait then.
Do you, out of curiosity?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Trickle down was what they called Reagan's economics, which was free up the businesses so they can make money, don't tax them to death, and then the employees will start making money too, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, the less taxes, the more money in your pocket, and people have a spending problem, so they'll spend their money.
Yeah.
But a while back, Joe was saying something about, I don't want to like give it away. I want to really see what he's going to say.
Yeah.
But he brought something up that explains it in a way. So.
Oh, okay. Cool.
All right. I'll let you get after it.
Great hearing from you. Great call, Manuel in California. Appreciate you, man.
All right. See you.
Bye. This guy's my hero, says Joel Friday TV. Oh, by the way, Joel Friday may be scheduled. Let me shout him out. Follow Joel Friday TV on YouTube and Instagram. Follow his all my links, allmylinks.com/Joel Friday TV. American Anchor Baby is going to come up at 4 p.m. Pacific time today. And I heard that it's going to be, you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss it. Oh my gosh. But anyway, Joel Friday's show that he's coming up with is going to be called Evil Disguised as God. Indeed. Wow. What a nice phrase. Thought-provoking. Good kind of thoughts, right? Practical thoughts. Thank you, guys. So let me type Joel Friday TV, Monday through Thursday, 11 to 12. He's not Joel Friday, not live on Fridays, but his nickname was Friday. Derek in Nashville, Tennessee, on the line here. Derek, thank you for calling and holding there, man. What's up?
No problem, James. I'm calling about the real serious issues today. Sometimes you guys will talk about a topic, and then weeks later, I'll think of something. And remember the whole Caitlin Clark basketball thing? I was just sitting here, and I was like, I'm from Indiana originally. I'm in Tennessee now, but I'm like, why don't they call her White Chocolate? It is White History Month, right? I was like, that would be such a perfect nickname. So I'm coining it right now. It'd probably make everybody crazy.
Yeah. Wasn't there a white young man who was a basketball player in the 90s that they called White Chocolate? I feel like there was.
Well, there's Larry Bird, from Indiana.
No, this was he was more black-esque because Larry Bird was not at all black. But this guy was...
No, he was
white. Jason
Bird.
Williams. Thank you. I knew that Hassan did know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was called White Chocolate.
Yeah. Huh. All right. Well, I think she should get... Oh, people would go crazy these days. But you said something at the beginning of your show yesterday that all songs are liberal. And you were talking about... You were singing something from Sesame Street or something. And I haven't watched Sesame Street in a long time, but apparently, like, Big Bird's non-binary now. I don't know.
Oh.
But then I thought about Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's not liberal, right? And I sort of I was like, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, right? And then I started thinking about it more. I'm like, well, what if Jesse was Mr. Rogers? And he would get, because Mr. Rogers always came in and took off his shoes. He's doing polite things and, just teaching about normal stuff. I mean, how do you feel? Do you think Mr. Rogers was deep down liberal?
He may have been. He definitely came off as a bit soft. I know they tried to make him sound tough in memes on social media. Like they said, oh, he had sleeves of tattoos. He always wore long sleeves because he had tattoos and he was a Marine and
I
tough.
don't believe it.
But I don't believe it either. But even the tough Marines, they're dumb liberals too a lot of the times, you know, like the MMA, a lot of MMA fighters and stuff. Mr. Rogers had such traditional beliefs though. I know, but a lot of the liberals cloaked their views in traditional beliefs, you know? And if you're emotional, you're a liberal.
Right.
Anyway.
And
I don't know.
And really, I honestly I realized I'm like so much for my non-thinking life because I sat around about it. I was like, well, Hake was singing that Sesame Street song. I'm like, well, what about Mr. Rogers? And then what if Jesse was Mr. Rogers? And I don't know what the cameo thing is.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I don't know how much of it, but I don't know if we could get him. I want you to intercede on my behalf here. It's like I can just imagine Jesse coming in doing the intro from the 80s, right? And he's like, hello, neighbor. You're evil inside.
Right.
And then
That's funny.
I was sitting here by myself in the quiet, laughing at myself. And I was like, yeah, I wonder if they can do that on Cameo. I'm not sure that's a thing or not.
Oh,
But,
yeah. I mean, I suppose if you want to purchase a Cameo from cameo.com/Jesse Lee Peterson, you can ask him to do a Mr. Rogers impression
like that
addressing.
smooth voice. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if JLP is
So
familiar with Mr. Rogers.
Who knows? But
Yeah.
we can get him up to speed. So that's basically it. I really enjoy listening to your show and appreciate you. So
Thank you,
thanks
man.
Yeah, you probably was a liberal. Who knew?
Yeah. But Omid,
Anyway,
Omid over here, he says he had such traditional beliefs. I stand with him. But when I said if you're emotional, you're a liberal, he's like, that's fair. I think. But anyway.
No, I still want to see Jesse Lee doing the Mr. Rogers intro.
Cool, man.
God, it would be perfect. So anyway, hey, I appreciate y'all. Thanks so much for the work you do.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Derek. Call me again sometime.
You got it, sir. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. Oh, he got me with the click. Another super chat. Speaking of Mr. Rogers, it's me, Xenia, who's a supporter on the Hake Report Rumble, by the way, as well as JLP Rumble. Rumble.com/the Hake Report. Gave a Rumble rant saying Hake needs a professor's hat when explaining flat Earth or round Earth. Laughing face with tears coming out. A cat's laughing face with tears coming out. Pretty funny. Let me explain that it's an obvious globe. To you flat earthers, Hake, honorary Flat Earth Society member, by the way, which is not respected among the real flat earthers, I heard. Acting like a liberal then versus now are even close, or do you mean not even close? If you're a boy all your life, etc. Based. Fred Rogers had a song. If you're a boy all your life, or meaning male all your life. Based. I know, but in the different times, there is based for the times, because the times, you know how people go with the flow. That wasn't standing against some wall of the non-binary establishment, pro-non-binary, pro-transgender establishment, you know? He wasn't standing against some, it doesn't take, I mean, Obama was pretending to be like, a marriage is between a man and a woman. Or, George W. Bush did DOMA. Not the Vietnamese cussing. I'm talking about Defense of Marriage Act. Was that George W. Bush? I think it was. Maybe it was Clinton. Bill Clinton might have signed that with his nose and chin in the air back when he was fatter. Straight or gay? Bill Clinton. Arrogant. Came off as arrogant. Maybe I'm wrong. Defense of Marriage Act. So based. Marriage is between a man and a woman. It's in the Constitution, or it's federal law, never enforced. At least not by Obama, Eric Holder. So You guys throw around based loosely more than me, maybe. No, I don't know if anybody throws it around more loosely than Hake. But sometimes you guys are just silly. Wasn't Mr. Rogers in the military? He may have been. I don't know. That may just be an urban legend or a social media meme legend. Shout out to the IG people. I'm looking over on Instagram. I am live on there. I started it a bit late. The feed keeps freezing, FYI. Yeah, my Instagram is not reliable. Instagram thinks I'm using something automated. I'm using Caster to connect to IG. And what a mess. Could you describe the attack on white people versus the attack of so many other minorities? The attack on white people. I can answer that as a white woman in Oregon. I've definitely been attacked. Says somebody else in the IG chat. It's A-OK to joke and be quote unquote racist against white people and accuse them of racism and nobody else. And take their jobs from them when they express their freedom of speech, especially when they say something true or say something that they have a right to say, and try to force the mixing of the different people, to force the interracial stuff on them, force them to integrate with these other people, when they're already accepting and kind to everybody. Even the most racist ones, quote unquote, are polite with everybody and treat you how you come off to them. Treat you how you pretty much deserve to be treated, you know? So it's an attack on whites. They pretend like the whites are racist and just endlessly pretend. You may hear, coming up, you may have heard yesterday, all these evil Democrat people trying to call it racist that those who are registered to vote have to have been proven to be citizens. And that's racist. You're making it hard, especially for the minorities. How ridiculous. What a mess. And the whites are the most, like, fair-minded people, and they tend to be more Republican. That's a big part of why they're hated. It's not just Republican. They tend to be more based than the Republican representatives. And I think that's because they're not actually based, because some of the ones seem like they're based, seem like they're tough, and then they get into office, and they have no solid foundation, and so it just washes away. There goes their little Christianity, their little patriotism, because they're not on a solid foundation either. Nobody's on a solid foundation, not even the whites, not even the whites. And so they try to say, oh, the problem is the foundation. The problem is God. The problem is being men. The problem is the whites. They're trying to go after the best parts of America. The men, the godliness, the morality, the freedom, the gotta take care of yourself type of mindset. Now it's taking care of everybody, which is evil. That's not white, and that's not right. At this point, just call me Mike with a coffee. Says, what you said to the activist caller was amazing. Holy Hake, you are truly doing God's work. Clapping, salute, and blue heart. Yeah, Aaron of Aaron C. from Utah. He started to try to call back. I'll talk to him another day. But yeah, what good is it? It's just ego in activism. And the do-nothings, yeah, they may be doing nothing. But you don't know what people are doing in their lives or going through in their lives. As JLP says, you got to work on yourself. And then you'll see clearly what to do in the world. Rather than going off half-cocked, angry at what evil is happening in the world. Wow, I am getting to the time where I'm going to be having to wrap up, guys. Let me get my whereabouts. Let me get my whereabouts. There were some things I wanted to cover, some music I wanted to play. We're at 5 minutes till the end. Let's do pretend. Get pretend ready. That means I have 2 minutes to go, or a minute and a half. I'm going to play Pretend by OK. Shout out to CJ in Texas, who likes OK. I like OK. It's one of my favorite songs. In the meantime as well, let me tell you about this little headline. I did mention, this is from far-left extremist AP News. California fast food workers now earn, and they use the term loosely, $20 per hour. Franchisees, franchises like your local McDonald's, your local Jack in the Box, your local Del Taco, your local maybe El Pollo Loco. They're responding by cutting hours. Because they have to. Otherwise, it's not business-wise. It's not good. And so, Obamacare did the same thing to employers and employees. Oh, if they're working full-time, you have to cover their health insurance. It's ridiculous. Oh, and so they cut your hours. Mama evil, fake, false values government. Trying to force businesses to take care of employees who can't take care of themselves. And the government hamstrings the ability. I got to end, guys. This has been the Hake Report. Adios, America. Okay. Joel Friday. Pretend. Marty Anderson.
Maybe that now was so close to the end. We will be able to make it a friend. When we've got no holes just to try and to mend. When we've got no rules left to break or to bend. When we've got no time left to see what to spend. When we've got no future or past left to blend. When we've got nothing precious or trying to defend. When we've got no reason left to pretend. Maybe that now we're so close to the end. We will be able to make it a friend. When we've got no holes, we're still trying to mend. When you've got no rules left to break or to bend. When we've got no time left to save or to spend. When we've got no future or past left to blend. When we've got nothing precious you're trying to defend. When we've got no
Reason left to pretend.
no reason left
To pretend.
got no reason left
To pretend.
no reason left to pretend. When you've got no reason left
To pretend. Isn't it kind of nice? I know I like it. It's very childish. You mean childlike. Childlike. Your music selection is on fentanyl. I think he has Crohn's disease. Adios, America. Joel Friday next. Bye.